Okay, Susie, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joseph Kopser. Welcome to the latest in a series of interviews that I'm doing with the smartest, most fascinating people that I know to try to figure out how we get through this unusual time that we're in. This all goes back to when I was in the Army years ago as a brand new lieutenant. I asked the platoon sergeants and first sergeants and the other members of the lieutenant mafia who were ahead of me, hey, how do you do this? And then when I got into business and trying to figure out how to build Ride Scout, I went and found every smart entrepreneur, investor that was out there to say, how do you build a company? But now that we're in this era of COVID, no one's really ever been here before. And so it's uncharted territory. So I started a series of phone calls going back over a month ago. And then I realized that the advice I was getting was fabulous. And I said, well, wait a minute. I like to talk. The extrovert in me needs to get out. And so, Susie, you are, I think, interview number 32. I'm actually getting into this where I'm getting a good routine. But if anything goes wrong, technically, it's all my fault. Susie, you have nothing to fear. If it all goes dark, I'll try to get you back on again. Okay. Before we get into your background and what your company Verb is doing, I just want to point out that, through all these conversations, the first tier of our support should be those that are the sick and the healthcare givers and workers, down to and including grocery store folks that are out there keeping us safe. Secondly, are those that are now immediately out of work. They don't know necessarily how they're going to pay bills. They're trying to figure out what's available to them. And then that third group are those people that are still working either from home or they're business owners that are trying to have a new schedule. But regardless, they're all just trying to get through the other side. And so, Susie, for those of you that don't know Susie, an Ernst Young Entrepreneur Entrepreneur of the Year 2014, I think it was, has been involved in all kinds of different projects associated with the University of Texas at Austin, entrepreneurship through and through. In fact, you just got a shout out last night during an interview with Elijah May. Holy cow, I got Susie on the next day. But let's talk about you and let's talk about Verb and what you're doing to help provide resources, because I think the audience is going to find it pretty interesting. And then the last thing I'll say as far as housekeeping before we get into this is online live across 3 different Facebook platforms and 2 different YouTube platforms. So if you have questions for Susie, anything that she says sparks an interest, drop it in the comment section. Depending on if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can look around and find it, provide links, and then I can bring your questions up on screen if I think it's valuable to be able to help the whole group. So Susie, with that super long minute introduction, welcome. Thank you for being here. First of all, how are you doing? How is your team doing? And then let's get into what Verb is doing for other people. So
yeah, I'm doing really well. I really have been focusing so much on gratitude and just appreciating the fact that, I'm healthy and my kids are healthy, my team is healthy. And, we have food and we have a place to live. So we're doing well. My kids might walk in that door behind me anytime. So that's just part of life these days. And our team at Verb is doing really well. It's hard. We're a small company, we're a startup. And so big black swan events like this, it's like tsunami in the ocean. So it's been pretty intense, but my team has really been heroic in their response. And, I think we've done a pretty phenomenal job of making lemonade from lemons in the past month. So yeah, I'm really proud of them.
Well, that's excellent. And then in terms of how they're working, I presume everyone's remote. And how does that compare to where you were before?
Yeah, so we all but 2 Verbies. We are all in Texas, and so yeah, we went remote. I guess it's been about a month ago now, and it's been great. I think, like a lot of companies, we just find that we're communicating a lot. So last week I posted on LinkedIn an article about how I've actually shortened our working hours. And yesterday we had a mandatory paid day off, because my team's really tired. That just that extra communication of trying to stay in sync, and of course managing kids and homeschooling and all the changes in people's routines. Everybody's really tired, but spirits are high, but it's draining, it's intense.
Yeah, I heard something said recently in one of these interviews that out of all the professions that people are now holding on a much higher pedestal than they ever have and that they should going forward are our teachers. Those that are there with our kids most of the day. For those that don't homeschool, we're all now homeschooling. And so we understand what that challenge is like. How's that been for you all?
Yeah, for me personally, it's been fun. I love teaching my kids. I think the challenge is that I'm also being CEO at the same time that I'm being teacher and mom. And so, my company needs me to be present all day long. And there's questions and we're moving fast and we're responding to what's happening in the world. And my kids are out there at the dining room table saying, Mom, my Zoom crashed and, how do I log in? And
working women in America didn't have enough on their plate before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I really don't know how parents are supposed to do this, yeah, especially, when you have young kids. Mine are 8 and 10. But younger kids, the 3-year-olds, the 5-year-olds, they can't sit still,
Right.
other than putting them on iPads. So yeah, it's pretty intense.
Well, speaking of intense, so let's talk now about what you've done with your company to be able to provide this new online library of resources. And it might be worth talking to folks just for a second about what you were doing before.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring up your website here just as you're talking about what you're now doing in terms of support going forward. So take it from there.
Yeah, thank you. So our company Verb is a leadership development platform that's designed for companies to offer to their employees. So our purpose is really to democratize leadership training. Historically, in a lot of companies, leadership training was focused only on upper management. But really, COVID proves it more than anything that now you need every employee to be activated and to be inhabiting kind of an owner's mindset and, really unleashed at their full potential. And so everybody needs to, have leadership. We call them skill sets and mindsets. And so before COVID, we were focused on long-term leadership development with our customers, which include, huge Fortune 5 companies like Whole Foods Market. And so these were ongoing professional development programs. But for a company like Whole Foods, when everybody went into lockdown, their employees are just so overworked right now. They're stocking the shelves and responding to the increased demand. And so we said, wow, we need to come up with something that is a more timely support for these employees. So in a couple of weeks ago, in the span of 2 weeks, we created and adapted over 20 hours of content to focus specifically on the challenges that our employees are facing right now.
Okay.
So we launched a brand new library.
Yeah. So do you want to try to walk through that? I mean, we're obviously live on this. And this is anything we rehearsed. So if you want to step us through some of these, I will also be able to bring up some banners as we're going.
Yeah, let me pull this up. I'd love to show you what it looks like. Okay, share screen. So
as soon as you share it, I'll see it on my end, and then I'll throw it up here into StreamYard. There it is.
Okay. So what you're looking at right now is the Verb landing page for learners. And so this is my account. I was previously working on some content on change and resistance, but as I scroll down here, you can see this is our training content in our COVID leadership response library. So these first 3 collections are all about remote working and supporting people. So when I click into this and I click get started, what it opens up for me is micro-learning activities focused on how to lead remote teams. So that's one of the things kind of for, modern adult learners. Everybody wants to learn in quick snippets. So Verb is designed and built a bit like Duolingo, where you can learn a foreign language in, 10 minutes a day. So that was a collection on leading remotely. But as I scroll down, you can see some of the topics that we're hearing from customers that they want support on. This line here is content that's all about managing stress and anxiety. And you can see how there's so much emphasis on taking care of yourself, self-care, resilience.
Yeah.
These are really big topics right now.
Can I just interrupt on that? It's really interesting how different sectors of various professions have insight into this. And, you know, from my background, 20 years in the Army and being in combat, the one thing that you could have any real control over was your morning, like when you first got up. And, you know, we've said it to a lot of people through this of how you adapt to this chaos. If nothing else, it's your morning time and creating rituals. And I too posted something on LinkedIn about that. So I'm glad to see that you all are emphasizing the mental side of this as much as the process side of it. But I think you have more to say on that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And, you know, some of the practices that we help employees connect to are things like morning gratitude, right? And sitting down and setting, you know, what are your 3 goals for the day? What are your 3 intentions for the day? And part of the way that Verb is designed with this kind of micro learning, it's meant to be used every day in little bits instead of more traditional online learning where you might sit down and watch a 2-hour lecture. Verb is meant to be kind of your coach and your buddy. So for employees right now, this collection here, Manage Your Mind, is actually the most popular collection that our learners are using on the platform right now. And you can see what's inside here is there's actually a meditation that you could do, and then how to create a mental fitness plan. So we're really about kind of, you know, practical tools, tips, and techniques to help employees become better leaders and to feel supported. And right now you can see, you know, those are the topics. I'll just stop sharing so I can see you again. That employees really want most, which is around their kind of emotional and mental well-being. Caretaking is another really popular collection that we have. So, you know, they're not struggling with the technical aspects of remote working. They're struggling with the, you know, kind of the constant uncertainty and anxiety that they're dealing with every day.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting the fact that you point out that it's less about the process and just about how do I keep it all together. So let's talk about 2 scenarios. If this goes more than a month or so in terms of this very strict in-place, shelter in place, how do you see this playing out in the future of the workforce? Because again, that's really what this comes down to, because it is the lifeblood of the economy.
Yeah. Well, you know, what we are talking about at Verb is that, you know, people are trying to find the new ways of working and being, the new work-life balance, right? When your kids are just in the other room. And so I think, you know, as this extends, that's really what people are looking for, is like a new normal. You know, one of the most frequent things I heard in the last 4 weeks was how tired everybody is. And a lot of that is because of decision fatigue. You know, in our normal lives, so many things we do are just routine. You don't have to decide what you're going to drink in the morning because it's coffee all the time. You don't have to decide where you're going to drive to work because it's the same route all the time. And for the past month, you know, we've all been, you know, should I go to the grocery store? Should I not go to the grocery store? What time should I go to the grocery store? Will they have the things that I need? You know, just so many new things to learn. And so I think what everybody's really looking for right now is the new normal. And that includes, you know, these large, you know, Fortune 5 companies like Whole Foods with 90,000 employees and little companies like Verb with just 30.
Yeah. Well, you know, I found one of the most amazing decisions that has caused that decision fatigue you talk about that Amy and I have experienced is what to have for the next meal. You know, it used to be if you ever gave up and you didn't know, you just simply hopped in the car and you went somewhere close and somewhere nearby. But because it takes planning and planning ahead, and a lot of places are overdone, and then it takes a lot of delay, and then you only have so much, you know, I would call it refrigerator enthusiasm. These are very real issues that are impacting people. And it breaks my heart when I saw the photos, for instance, of San Antonio, where they had the 10,000 families in a day that went through the food bank, and they just had the cars lined up on end. So let's go a little bit deeper into one of the points that you brought up, which is what you call the emotional awareness, or I'm going to share it up on my screen here, because I found this to be fascinating. The 5 ways to improve emotional intelligence at work and at home. So I'm going to scroll on this, but just anything you want to highlight in general about how this came to be.
Yeah, well, so one of our points of view about leadership is to be a great leader, you have to be a great person first. And so we put a lot of emphasis with our verb training on self-awareness and emotional intelligence and who you are as a person. So a lot of us, when we think of being a great leader, we think, oh, I'm going to lead others. And we emphasize, telling people what to do or having the answers or delegating. But actually, to be a great leader, you need to start with yourself and really understand your values, your biases. Emotional intelligence is a piece of that. So when we think about how do you train someone to be a great leader, we break it down into what we call the doing and the being of leadership. So we actually start with being.
Can I just interrupt right there? I not only love that, I remember growing up in the Army back at West Point in the day, it was be, no, do. And
Right.
the fact that your ideas and those align so similarly is another reason why I'm such a fan of your work. But keep
Well,
going.
I think this is something that is just so, it's not talked about enough is who are you being today? So if you really look and you say, who am I being today? Am I being worried? Am I being hopeful? Am I being frustrated? Am I being tired? Am I being curious? Am I being optimistic? All of these ways of being shape your actions and what you're going to be doing. And so at Verb, we put a lot of emphasis on helping individuals really get more self-aware of who are you being and how is that affecting other people. And that's one of the building blocks of emotional intelligence. And it's really core for all your relationships, whether that's at work or with your kids or with your partner, your extended family. So,
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And this idea of be, no, do, the only extra component that I learned in this is just this idea of being technically competent at your skills.
Yeah.
So speak to this idea that you talked to a little bit about in the beginning, but I'd like you to go a little bit deeper, which is this added new role of the leader, which is it's more than just leading the team, but it really is understanding that next layer down of the organization. Because it used to be when you're at work, that's work stuff. And what happens at home stays at home. But right now it's being blended to a point where you really do need to show that empathy and or sympathy for people that are worried about loved ones, worried about those that are sick, separated perhaps from their adult children. How would you, expand on that idea?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that, companies historically kind of hid a little bit inside of this point of view of like, we're only responsible for someone's work life and we're not really responsible for what happens in their personal life. And as long as they keep it over there, that's personal, it's not work. And companies have started to take a little bit more responsibility. So they've started investing in wellness programs and supporting mental health. And some companies, progressive companies might have a daycare. But I think with COVID, what's really just boom, smacked everyone in the face is that you can't separate me from me, Suzi as CEO, from Suzi as mom. My kids might walk in the door at any minute. And the fact that, people's health is at risk, their parents' health is at risk, these so-called personal issues. Now, as a CEO, I made a post to my team on how to stay healthy. And what some of the things I talked about in that post, I said, guys, I know your anxiety is really high. And a lot of you are drawn to things like sugary foods, baked goods, alcohol. Yeah, because those are the comfort things that we look for when we're under stress. I said, but those are the things that are going to weaken your immune system. And so if you do get exposed to coronavirus, you're more likely to get sick. And as a CEO, that's a concern to me. I need my employees to, be at work and be able to participate. And so all of a sudden I feel that I have to guide them and lead them in the area of their health in a way that I might have felt that wasn't really my, responsibility or maybe even my business before. And so I think leadership now is evolving. Business leaders are now having to take much more responsibility for the whole person in a way that, they never really felt they had to in the past.
Well, one of the greatest compliments that I received in these 30 plus videos was someone who said, your discussions are such a wide range. You go from SBA loans to the importance of data to working moms, and you're all over the map. And I'm like, Well, thank you. But that's kind of the way everybody's life is. There is no one single subject. And that's why I love your online library of so many different resources that are out there. Something else you said that I think is important and worth noting, which is, so for the last nearly 20 years, we've had two generations practically of combat vets go and come back from theater. Sadly, of course, some of them don't come back on 2 feet. But what's important to understand is for so long we treated them, and I really don't like this, treated them like, oh, there's some kind of damaged goods, or oh, let me pat your head and say, you know, thanks for your service. And then, ooh, these mental health issues of all the stress and everything. Well, guess what? Everyone now is going to be experiencing this new kind of stress, to realize that if we can talk about mental health issues as easy as we talk about a broken foot. I mean, think about it. You walk into work with a broken foot. Everybody wants to bring you a cup of coffee. Oh, let me go get that for you. Tell me how it happened. Even if it was something really dumb that you did, it's held up as, you know, almost praiseworthy. But mental health is not the case. And so the fact that your resources talk so much about that, I think is great. So we're nearing the 20, well, actually we've gone past the 20-minute mark. So I want to wrap this up, because I too like to keep these short because of the attention span of people with so many things coming at them. What did I not ask you about? What is it that you want the listener, the viewer, either live today or in the future, to know about going forward?
Well, you know, something that I just am personally really passionate about that I would love to share with everybody is to remember that right now, one of the most important things you can do is to manage your energy, not your time. So whether you're being a partner, a parent, an employee, or even just by yourself in your apartment or in your home, what's gonna, you know, carry you is your emotional energy. And it's something that it's easy right now to get super drained and overwhelmed, and really think about what are the things that give you energy and revitalize you, and what are the things that suck it down. And you might find that you just wake up one day and your energy is low and you don't know why. And don't get upset with that. Just be with that, and then think about, okay, what are the things that I need to do to bring it back up? So for example, sometimes, you know, if I just have a day where my energy is being drained, I'll just stop working in the middle of the day. And sometimes I'll just go lie on the floor and stare at the ceiling, or, you know, I have a jump rope in my house and I'll start doing jump ropes. You know, sometimes I need to come up, sometimes I need to go down. But the way we're going to get through this and protect our mental health is to really be conscious of managing our energy. It's not about time, it's about energy, and really protecting, you know, that life force and source that you are.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, it was interview 3 or 4 in this. I had stumbled across a piece of work by a woman named Mara Neville Thomas, who talks about, similar to you, not managing your time, managing your attention. And I mean, her book is super fast. It's a very quick read. I read it very quickly. And the thing that I walked away with most about it is, I used to kind of think it was whatever strong or sign of multitasking, whatever, that I could have like 12 open tabs and 5 different things and an iPad and a phone. And man, she made it very clear to me that that was doing more harm than good. And in the last calendar month, with all this chaos, and as you say, this stress on your energy, stress on your time, I focused my attention by just delete all those open tabs and just have one thing in front of me. And oh, what a difference it's made.
Well, and it's really easy to get caught up in what you think you're supposed to be doing. So some of my executive team members are like, oh, I don't feel good today. I'm kind of tired and my head's foggy. And I said, just stop. He said, yeah, but I've got this meeting and I've got that thing. And I was like, no, it's better for you to just stop and say, you know, time out. And go rest and recover and rebuild your energy, and then come back tomorrow and let's pick that back up. But it's really easy to get caught up in what we think we're supposed to do, you know, with our kids, with our chores, with our partners, with our work. But right now we're all living under so much, you know, outside stress. We really need to figure out how to manage our energy. I don't know.
There I am. Nope, sorry. I was in the background trying to grab a copy of that Medium post that I did that includes hers.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
let's say YouTube. Oh, I love this new service. Let me read what it says. YouTube rejected your comment. This is fairly common when sharing a link. You may need to share the link another way. Well, that's how we'll end, as I'm fighting against technologies to not only help, but technologies that push back from time to time. So Susie, we'll end this like we began it, which is remembering that the people that we need to be thinking about the most and supporting are those sick and healthcare givers that are there with them. Secondly, of course, are those people that are now immediately out of work. And then third in that tier are those businesses, those employees that are trying to hold it together, and your resources, which I put a link to here, but I'm also going to move over to LinkedIn later with the video and post it there too. I encourage you to add any more links.
Yeah.
And for those that tuned in while we were talking or like the video, I'll also tag them in it. So if they have any further questions or want to reach out to you and your team for help as well, because I don't think enough companies are recognizing the whole of person approach in the way that you're doing it. And I applaud you for it, and look forward to seeing how this goes. And when it's over, seeing you as soon as I can.
Yes, I look forward to that. Thank you for having me. It's so great to be able to share with you and your communities. And we would love to support any businesses and their employees that need a little extra coaching and support on the side.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being here with us today, Susie. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
So for everybody tuned in today, I hope you appreciated this last interview. Again, we try to keep them quick, 20 to 25 minutes. And in doing so, I want to focus on the issues that are most important to you. So either in the comment section here or over on my LinkedIn page at Joseph Kopser, tag me, DM me, send me an email, go on my website, josephkopser.com. In this era of COVID, nobody has the right answer, but we are all smarter together, which is something that the folks over at Make Me Smart, Molly and Kai, like to say. I'm a big fan of their work. And I think that if we can make it more accessible through these live interviews, we have a chance to share good ideas even faster. So thanks for everybody that participates in the past. Susie was a great guest today. I know now you hopefully see why I was so excited to have her on. And I look forward to seeing you all at future broadcasts. Take care.